The smell hit me first. Faint, sweet, wrong. I froze in the hallway of the executive floor, mop bucket still dripping ammonia water onto the marble. 3 a.m. The building should have been empty except for me and whatever ghost haunted the boardroom. But the scent curling through the air wasn't perfume or cleaning solution. It was gas. Natural gas. The kind that doesn't smell like anything until the utility company adds that rotten egg warning. And even then, some leaks are slow enough, old enough, that the signature fades into something almost floral. I set the mop down carefully. No sudden moves, no static, no switches. Do you always work this late? I nearly dropped the bucket. She stood in the doorway of the corner office, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Charleston harbor. Tall, sharp-shouldered in a cream blazer that probably cost more than my truck. Dark hair pulled into a twist that had come slightly loose. Victoria Ashford. I'd seen her name on the building directory 100 times. CEO, Ashford International Fashion. I'd never seen her in person. She stepped closer. I could smell her now, too. Something clean, expensive, layered under the gas. You're the janitor. Not a question. Her voice was low, controlled, the kind of voice used to being obeyed. Yes, ma'am. She stopped 3 feet away, tilted her head, studied me like I was a contract she was deciding whether to sign. Then she leaned in, close enough that I could see the faint shadows under her eyes, the precise line of her jaw, the way her breath came a little too fast. Can you smell that? She whispered. My brain short-circuited for half a second, the way she'd leaned in, the drop in her voice, the fact that she was close enough I could feel the heat coming off her suit jacket, but I shook it off. Gas, I said. Natural gas. You need to leave. Now. Her eyes widened. I thought I was imagining it. You're not. Don't turn on any lights. Don't touch anything electrical. Just walk to the stairwell and go down. I'll call it in. She didn't move. How do you know it's gas? Because I used to fix this kind of thing for a living. That got her attention. She blinked, reassessing. You're a plumber. Was. I kept my voice flat. Now I'm the guy who mops your floors, but I still know when a building's about to become a fireball, so please, go. She went. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911, gave them the address and the floor. Then I opened every window I could reach without flipping a switch, propped the stairwell door, and started a mental map of where the gas lines ran in a building this old. The operator told me to evacuate. I told her I would. I didn't. By the time the fire department arrived, I'd traced the smell to a utility closet on the north side. Old fittings, corroded valve, slow leak that had probably been seeping for weeks. The captain took one look, called in the gas company, and cleared the building for the night. Victoria Ashford was waiting in the lobby when I came down. You stayed, she said. Had to make sure it was isolated. You could have been killed. I shrugged. Wasn't. She stared at me for a long moment, and I realized she was angry. Not at me, at the situation, at the fact that her billion-dollar headquarters had a gas leak, and the person who'd found it was the night janitor. What's your name? She asked. Parker. Parker. She repeated it like she was filing it away. Thank you. I nodded, picked up my bucket, and walked toward the service exit. Parker. I stopped. I'm going to need your help. 2 days later, the building inspector showed up. His name was Marcus Chen, and he had the look of a man who enjoyed bad news. Clipboard, checklist, steel-toed boots that had never seen actual mud. He spent 4 hours going through the mechanical systems with a fine-tooth comb, and when he was done, he handed Victoria a violation notice that could have been used as a murder weapon. I watched from the hallway. I wasn't supposed to be there. My shift didn't start until 11 p.m. But Victoria's assistant had called me at 9 a.m. and asked if I could come in early. Ms. Ashford would like you present for the inspection. So I came. Marcus didn't waste time. Gas line's a mess. Whole north wing needs to be repiped. Until it's done, this floor's condemned. You've got 72 hours to evacuate, and the building stays red-tagged until I see permits, schematics, and a licensed contractor's signature. Victoria's face didn't change. How long will that take? Permit process? 2 weeks if you're lucky. Finding a contractor who can do commercial work and pass my inspection? Another month. You're looking at 6 weeks minimum before this floor's habitable. 6 weeks. Her voice stayed level, but I saw her hand tighten on the edge of her desk. That's unacceptable. Marcus shrugged. Then don't have a 70-year-old building with original plumbing. He left. Victoria stood there for 10 seconds, staring at the violation notice. Then she looked at me. You said you used to fix this kind of thing. I did. Are you licensed? I hesitated. Yeah. Commercial plumbing, gas lines, system design. 9 years in the union before I stopped. Before I left. Why did you leave? The question hung in the air. I could have lied. I could have said the work dried up, or I wanted a change, or any of the dozen easy excuses I'd used in the past 2 years. But something about the way she was looking at me, like she actually wanted the truth, made me give it to her. My wife died. House fire. I had a 2-year-old daughter and no family nearby. Union hours were 60, 70 a week. Daycare doesn't cover night shifts, so I found a job that did. Her expression softened. Just a fraction. I'm sorry. It was 2 years ago. That doesn't make it easier. I didn't have an answer for that. She set the violation notice down. I need this fixed. Fast. I have a board meeting in 8 weeks, and if I don't have full building access, I lose a contract worth $40 million. Can you do it? You need a licensed contractor. I can't just... You are a licensed contractor. I'm a janitor. You're a plumber who happens to mop floors. She crossed her arms. I'll pay you triple your current rate, cover all materials, and hire a crew to assist. You design it, you supervise it, you sign off on it. I'll handle the permits. I stared at her. You're serious? Completely. I haven't done this kind of work in 2 years. But you can. I thought about Zoe, about the daycare bill that came every month like clockwork, about the fact that I was 1 car breakdown away from financial collapse. I need my current shift protected. I can't lose the night job. You won't. You'll do the plumbing work during the day, janitorial at night. I'll clear it with building management. That's 16-hour days. I'm aware. She didn't blink. Can you do it or not? I looked at her. This woman in her perfect suit with her perfect office and her $40 million problem, and I realized she wasn't asking me to save her company. She was asking me to save myself. Yeah, I said. I can do it. She held out her hand. I shook it. Her grip was firm, cool, steady. Start tomorrow, she said. The gas line ran behind 3 walls, under 2 floors, and through a ceiling that hadn't been opened since 1973. I spent the first day just mapping it. Old blueprints, new measurements, a USB borescope I borrowed from a buddy still in the union. Victoria gave me an empty conference room to work in, and by hour 6 I had the whole system sketched out on a whiteboard. Every joint, every valve, every place where time and pressure had turned solid brass into a ticking time bomb. She came in around 2 p.m. with coffee. You take it black? She asked. Yeah. She handed me the cup, studied the whiteboard. Is it worse than you thought? It's exactly what I thought. Which is bad. How bad? I pointed to a junction near the elevator shaft. See this? Original 1950s fitting. Galvanized steel. It's been leaching corrosion into the gas flow for 70 years. That's your leak source. But if I fix just that, the pressure change will blow out 2 other weak points. I traced the line with my finger. I have to replace the whole north wing supply. 18 joints, 4 shut-off valves, 2 pressure regulators. And I have to do it without disrupting the south wing because your company's still operating there. Can it be done in 6 weeks? If I don't sleep? She frowned. That's not sustainable. It's the job. You have a daughter. I looked at her. How do you know that? You mentioned her yesterday. 2 years old. You're doing this for her, aren't you? I didn't answer. She set her own coffee down. I'll hire a second crew. You focus on the technical work. Let them handle the grunt labor. That'll cost you more. I can afford it. Why do you care? The question came out harder than I meant it to. She didn't flinch. Because I don't want you to burn out trying to save my building, she said quietly. And because I think you've been running on fumes for a long time. I didn't know what to say to that. She picked up her coffee. The crew starts Monday. You'll have 3 guys, all union. I'll make sure they know you're in charge. You didn't have to do that. I know. She paused at the door. Parker? Yeah? Thank you. She left before I could tell her she didn't need to keep thanking me. The crew showed up Monday at 7 a.m. 3 guys in their 40s, Carhartt jackets, worn hands, the kind of plumbers who'd seen everything and weren't impressed by much. I gave them the rundown, showed them the blueprints, and waited for the pushback. It didn't come. You drew this? The oldest one, Rick, asked, tapping the whiteboard. Yeah. It's good. Clean. He looked at me. You union? Was. Local 118. That changed the temperature in the room. Rick nodded. All right. You're the boss. What do you need? We worked for 12 hours straight that day, cutting drywall, pulling old pipe, testing fittings. The smell of flux and torch heat filled the north wing, and by the time we knocked off at 7 p.m., we'd replaced 6 joints and installed the first new valve. Victoria came by at 6. I was shoulder deep in a wall cavity, wrench in hand, when I heard her voice. How's it going? I backed out, wiped my hands on a rag. On schedule. She looked past me at the exposed pipes, the scattered tools, the dust coating every surface. It looks like a war zone. It's construction. It's supposed to. Will it be done in time? If nothing breaks, she smiled. Small, tired. You're not very reassuring. I'm honest. I noticed. She held up a paper bag. I brought sandwiches. You've been here since 6 a.m. I'm fine. You haven't eaten. How do you know? Because I've been watching you work for 3 days, and you don't stop. I took the bag. Inside were 2 turkey sandwiches, an apple, and a bottle of water. Simple. Thoughtful. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. She didn't leave, just stood there, looking at the mess we'd made of her building. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you stay? That first night? You could have left when I did. I thought about it, because I knew what would happen if that leak kept going, and I didn't want to read about it in the paper. You're a good man, Parker. I didn't feel like a good man. I felt like a guy who'd failed his wife, who was barely holding his life together, who'd taken a job mopping floors because it was the only thing that fit around the wreckage. But I didn't say that. I should get back to work, I said instead. She nodded. Don't stay past 8. You have a daughter to get home to. She remembered. Zoe was asleep when I got home that night. Mrs. Chen from next door was on my couch, reading a magazine. She looked up, smiled. Long day? Yeah. She was an angel. Ate all her dinner, played with her blocks, went down at 7:30. I paid Mrs. Chen, locked the door behind her, and walked into Zoe's room. She was curled up in her crib, one hand clutching her stuffed rabbit, the other flung above her head. The nightlight cast soft shadows across her face. My wife's nose. My eyes. A mix of us both that sometimes hurt to look at. I stood there for a long time, just watching her breathe. This was why I did it. The 16-hour days, the exhaustion, the running on fumes Victoria had called me out on. For her, so she'd never have to know what it felt like to lose everything. By the end of week 2, we'd replaced 14 joints and were ahead of schedule. Marcus showed up unannounced on a Thursday, walked through the work site, checked every connection with a gauge and a flashlight. When he was done, he grunted. Not bad. From him, that was a glowing review. Victoria was in a meeting, so I walked Marcus to the elevator alone. He stopped, turned. You do good work, Parker. Clean, code compliant, no shortcuts. Where'd you train? Local 118, apprenticed under Ray Kowalski. Marcus whistled. Ray's a legend, tough as hell. Yeah. Why aren't you still with the union? I kept my face neutral. Personal reasons. He studied me for a beat too long, then nodded. Fair enough. But if you ever want back in, you've got my number. This city needs plumbers who give a damn. He left. I stood in the hallway, his words echoing in my head. You've got my number. I hadn't thought about going back. Not seriously. The union meant long hours, unpredictable schedules, jobs that took me away from Zoe for days at a time. But it also meant real money. Benefits. A future that wasn't held together with duct tape and prayer. Parker? I turned. Victoria was standing in the hallway, files under one arm, looking at me like I'd been standing there too long. You okay? She asked. Yeah. Marcus signed off on the work so far. Her face lit up. That's amazing. It's progress. It's more than that. It's proof we're going to make the deadline. She shifted the files. I have a board call in 10 minutes, but do you have time for coffee later? I'd like to discuss next steps. Sure. 6 o'clock? There's a place 2 blocks from here. I nodded. She smiled. Really smiled, the kind that reached her eyes, and walked away. I watched her go, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt something other than tired. The coffee shop was small, tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner, the kind of place that smelled like espresso and old wood. Victoria was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with 2 cups in front of her. I ordered for you, she said as I slid into the seat across from her. Black, no sugar. You remembered. You're consistent. I took a sip. It was good, better than the break room sludge I usually drank. So, she said, next steps. Final pressure test is scheduled for Monday. If it holds, Marcus inspects Wednesday. If he signs off, you're clear by Friday. 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Your crew's good. They don't waste time. She studied me over the rim of her cup. You're good, Parker. Don't deflect. I didn't know what to say to that. I have a question, she said. And you can say no. Okay. When this project is done, would you consider staying on? Not as a janitor. As the building's maintenance supervisor. Salary, benefits, hours that don't require you to work nights. I stared at her. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a career. Why? Because you're reliable, skilled, honest, and because I've spent 2 years watching this company's maintenance fall apart, because we kept hiring the cheapest contractors instead of the best people. She leaned forward. I don't want cheap, Parker. I want someone I can trust. Trust. The word hit harder than it should have. I have Zoe, I said. Daycare ends at 6. I can't do overtime. The position doesn't require it. 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Emergencies only after hours, and you'd be compensated. What's the salary? She named a number that was double what I made as a janitor. I set my cup down carefully. That's generous. It's fair. I need to think about it. Of course. She didn't push. Take your time. The offer stands regardless. We sat in silence for a moment. The coffee shop was filling up. College students with laptops, couples sharing pastries, the evening crowd settling in. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. Why do you work so late? That first night, it was 3 a.m. Her expression shifted, guarded. I have a lot of responsibility. That's not an answer. She looked at me, and for the first time I saw past the polished facade. The exhaustion, the loneliness, the weight of being the person everyone relied on. Because if I go home, she said quietly, there's nothing there. No husband, no kids, no dog, just an empty house and a bottle of wine I'll drink alone while I answer emails. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. At least here, I'm useful. I understood that, more than she knew. You should go home anyway, I said. Why? Because you deserve to rest. She blinked, like the idea had never occurred to her. I'll think about it, she said finally. Fair enough. We finished our coffee. She paid, despite my protest. We walked to the parking garage together, and when we reached her car, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than my annual salary, she turned. Thank you, Parker, for everything. You don't have to keep thanking me. I know, but I want to. She got in her car and drove away, and I stood there in the garage, wondering when exactly I'd stopped thinking of her as my boss and started thinking of her as Victoria. The pressure test failed, not catastrophically, not dangerously, but one joint, a tricky angle near the elevator shaft, didn't hold when we ran it at full capacity. A slow drip, barely visible, but enough to fail inspection. Rick swore. I didn't. We'll redo it, I said. That's another day. Then it's another day. We pulled the joint, replaced the fitting, tested it again. This time it held. Victoria was in her office when I went to tell her. She looked up from her laptop, saw my face. What's wrong? Nothing. We had a minor setback, but it's fixed. Define minor. One joint failed the pressure test. We replaced it. It's holding now. She let out a breath. So we're still on track? Yeah. You're sure? I'm sure. She stood, walked to the window. The harbor was dark, the city lights reflecting on the water. I've been doing this for 20 years, she said. Building companies, managing people, making decisions that affect hundreds of lives, and I've never felt this out of control. You're not out of control. I'm relying on you, completely. If this doesn't work, it will, she turned. How can you be so certain? Because I don't fail. The words came out harder than I meant them to. She didn't flinch. No, she said quietly. You don't. We stood there, the office silent except for the hum of the HVAC. Then she crossed the room, stopped in front of me. Parker? Yeah? Do you like older women? The question hit me like a gut punch. I stared at her. What? I'm 43. You're 21. That's a 22-year gap. Her voice was steady, clinical, like she was presenting facts to a board. I need to know if that bothers you. Why would it bother me? Because people talk. And if we're going to work together long term, I need to know you can handle it. Handle what? The assumptions, the gossip, the fact that I'm old enough to be your... She stopped. My what? She didn't answer. I took a step closer. You think I care what people say? I think you should. I don't. Parker, you're brilliant, I said. You're one of the smartest people I've ever met. You're kind without broadcasting it. You remember details. You care about people even when it costs you. And yeah, you're 22 years older than me. So what? She stared at me. That doesn't bother you? She asked. No, it should. Why? Because I'm not... She stopped, shook her head. I'm not what you think I am. What do I think you are? Someone who has it all together. Someone strong. You are strong. I'm lonely, she said. The words came out raw, unguarded. I'm so lonely I work 16-hour days just to avoid going home. I've built an empire, and I have no one to share it with. I'm terrified that one day I'll wake up and realize I've wasted my entire life chasing success instead of connection. I didn't think. I just closed the distance and pulled her into a hug. She froze. Then slowly her arms came around me. We stood like that for a long time. Her face against my shoulder, my hand on her back. The chaos of her office, the deadlines, the pressure, the noise, suddenly gone. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were wet. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For dumping that on you. Don't be. She wiped her eyes, straightened her blazer. The mask slid back into place. We should get back to work. Victoria. She stopped. You don't have to be perfect, I said. Not with me. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay. Marcus showed up Wednesday at 9 a.m. He spent 6 hours going through every joint, every valve, every fitting. He ran the pressure test 3 times. He checked code compliance. He reviewed permits. At 3 p.m., he signed off. Victoria was in a meeting, so I took the signed inspection report to her assistant. We're clear, I said. Diane's face broke into a smile. You did it. We did it. She's going to be so relieved. I nodded, headed back to the work site. The crew was already packing up, tools stowed, tarps folded, the space looking almost normal again. Rick clapped me on the shoulder. Good work, boss. You too. You staying on? I don't know yet. He grinned. You should. You're better at this than you think. They left. I stayed, walking through the north wing one last time. The walls were patched, but not painted. The floors were clean, but scarred. It wasn't pretty. But it was safe, solid, built to last. I heard footsteps behind me. Parker! I turned. Victoria stood in the hallway, the signed report in her hand, her face lit with something I hadn't seen before. Relief. You did it, she said. We did it. She closed the distance, and before I could process it, she threw her arms around me. I caught her, held her, felt her trembling. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. You're welcome. She pulled back, laughing through tears. I don't cry. This is ridiculous. It's not. I just saved a $40 million contract because my night janitor turned out to be the best plumber in the city. I'm not the best. You are to me. The words hung in the air. She realized what she'd said, and her face flushed. I know what you meant. She looked at me. really looked at me. And I saw it. The same thing I'd been feeling for weeks. "Parker," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something." "Okay." "I think I'm falling for you." My heart stopped. "I know it's inappropriate," she continued. "I know the age gap, the power dynamic, everything about this is wrong. But I can't stop thinking about you. And I needed to say it, even if you don't feel the same way." I took her hand. "I feel the same way." She blinked. "You do?" "Yeah. But I don't care about the age gap. I don't care what people think. I care about you." She stared at our joined hands. "What do? We take it slow. We're honest. We don't hide. And if it doesn't work, then at least we tried." She smiled. Really smiled. "Okay." I pulled her closer. She didn't resist. Our first kiss was soft, tentative, a promise sealed without words. When we broke apart, she was crying again. "Happy tears?" I asked. "Very happy." 2 weeks later, we hosted a small gathering at the building to celebrate the reopening of the North Wing. Board members, employees, the construction crew. Marcus showed up with his wife. Rick brought his kids. Zoe was there too, holding my hand, wearing a dress Mrs. Chen had picked out. She was shy around the crowd, but when Victoria knelt down and offered her a cookie, Zoe took it. "Thank you," she whispered. Victoria's face melted. "You're very welcome." She looked up at me. I mouthed, "She likes you." Victoria grinned. The party wrapped up around 7. Most people left. Victoria and I stayed, standing in the North Wing, looking at the space we'd saved together. "I talked to HR," she said. "The maintenance supervisor position is yours if you want it." "I want it?" "And us?" "I want that too." She leaned into me. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders. "I never thought I'd find this," she said quietly. "Someone who sees me, really sees me." "I see you. I know." We stood there in the empty hallway, 2 people who'd been running on fumes for too long, finally catching their breath. "Parker? Yeah? Thank you for staying. That first night." I kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for asking me to." Real love isn't about drama or grand gestures. It's about showing up, staying consistent, choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard. Victoria taught me that healing doesn't come from avoiding the pain. It comes from letting someone stand with you while you face it. And that's the kind of love worth building a life on. Please like and subscribe so we can share more stories like this.